Okay, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to your review for Monday, the 24th of November. This is the last official trading month for myself, and as we head into next year, I'll be ending things off with the reviews at least on this channel. But yeah, let's get into it. Last week, we took a look at the dollar index and we highlighted a few levels that we wanted to see us trade towards, or more so just the general outlook on what to expect going forward and what could possibly be priced in during the week. I think we were trading around this candle over here. This was the 13th, the 14th of November. We were trading around there and we were anticipating either a further downtrend or a continuation towards the upside, right? We received confirmation on that on, I think it was the 17th of November, which was Monday, right? After we traded up through this down close candle, we confirmed it as a potential order block or a daily potential order block, and any sort of retracement back down to that level warranted the expectation that we would be trading higher, to these highs. So going into this week, there's still a few levels that are unmitigated for me. Couple of levels that I'm looking at. We've traded through this high in here, the 1st of August high. To the left of us, we have the 29th of May, the high that falls in there, as well as the daily order block that exists inside of Q2 at the 100,689 level, right? So this is what I'd be looking at going into this week. Daily bearish order block, opening price. I'd want to see if price has the willingness to really run above this level and seek the buy side above the 29th of May, and then also see what it actually does once we trade into this daily order block level, right? So for at least today, which is Monday, and perhaps tomorrow, I'd be bullish on the dollar index, short-term bullish. And once we arrive at these levels, I want to see if we've got any willingness to really send price lower or some sort of retracement or correction within this leg. It's still, in my own opinion, it's still too early. I do think that if we're trading at this level during this week, we could possibly end above this high during next week, right? So that is the high of, let's get rid of this, the high of the 12th of May, 2025. Just a few expectations for me as we go into, or as we end off Q4. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking at. This week is going to be the last official trading week for me. I'll still be working on a couple of other content ideas, some other videos that I have in mind, some stuff that I want to put out. But it is the last official trading week. Going into December, I do think that we're going to be sort of void of volume. I could be wrong, but December is not the best time to trade, at least in my personal experience. Right. So the dollar index, we are bullish on the dollar index short term, anticipating a potential reversal or a retracement back down into the range which we've created during Q4. Right. That is all that I'm really anticipating for this. We've now swept the range high on this little range. We want to wait and see what price wants to do above this level, right? What high do we price in once we get to whichever level they want to take us to? Okay, right. So that is DXY. Moving on to bond analysis, right? Bond analysis, we're taking a look at the 30-year chart. For bonds, it's a bit of a tricky one. I've seen some headlines this week indicating that we could see something very interesting happen on bonds. I won't talk about that yet. Perhaps in a separate video, purely discussing bonds and what they expect going into 2026. But as it stands currently, we've still got this bearish S&T priced in at the high. We're still paying attention to the stop run. Coupling this with the expectations for DXY to be short-term bullish, I think we could still see some short-term bearishness on the bonds. It's very, very likely, in my opinion. Levels that I'd want to see us to draw towards would be the internal sell side liquidity on the 25th of September, which comes in at 115.23. I'd like to see us dig a little further into discount of this range before anticipating any sort of run towards the buy side, right? So still short-term bearish on bonds. That would confirm the outlook for DXY. Levels that we can trade to, the only levels that really would be in my scope for a buy side target would be the internal buy side liquidity above the range high and the external buy side liquidity sitting at, which date is this? It's the 7th of April 2025. Right, but I do think that we want to draw lower. This reaction that we have inside of this fair value gap, I will note, however, for me is it's a bit of a bullish reaction, you know, failure to really trade below this low. And we're kind of stuck in this little consolidation moving sideways. So it's really difficult to say. They could be awaiting the Fed's decision on interest rates as we head into, I mean, I don't think that we have data coming out for next week. Maybe I should actually check that. So heading into this week, Monday is a no news day, which is today. Tuesday, we've got core PPI for the dollar. We also got core retail sales and PPI as well as retail sales, right? And these, if I'm not mistaken, are delayed reports. So they're not necessarily high impact news events, but they're delayed reports, right? You can see that the release date has been delayed by 40 days due to the US government shutdown, right, on all 4 of these reports coming out. So that could be a decent reaction that we find in the marketplace, or maybe not a decent reaction, but a bit of a liquidity injection that we have, or it couldn't, right? Then we've got for GBP, which is not really important, the autumn forecast statement, not paying attention to that, on Wednesday the 26th. And then we have unemployment claims for the US dollar along with prelim GDP and core PCE price index. Thursday is a bank holiday, and then Friday is a no news day. For bank holidays, I prefer not to trade them. Wednesday could warrant a decent expansion for this week. I think that the beginning of this week, they'll try to really price in as much as they can, because Thursday is a bank holiday. But we'll see. That is our news for this upcoming week. So back to bonds and looking at what we have. The price action as it stands currently still looks bullish to me, right? But I am anticipating us to trade lower and perhaps seek some sort of discount within the range that we're operating in, right? From this high to this low. So we'll leave it up to the market, and we'll follow it by ear. We'll play it by ear and see what happens. Getting on to the yield charts, you can see that yields, right, have found some sort of support inside of our daily fair value gap. As we discussed last week, we had our internal range sell side liquidity that we marked out, as well as our inverted fair value gap. Once we've closed above that level, we also have the new week opening gap for the 10th of November. That specific candle over there, the new week opening gap. Notice the close inside of this new day opening gap, right? The close is very important to me. I think that as we head into this week, we could see some bullish price delivery on this pair. And if that's the case, if we do have bullish price delivery on this pair, that would warrant a bearish expectation on the bonds, right? Again, I discussed the relationship of the bonds and the dollar index in relation to the yield chart in the previous video that I uploaded, last week's weekly outlook. right? So if we are bullish on the yield chart, we could expect some bearishness on bonds, which could in turn provide us with some bullish price action on the dollar index, right? So just keeping an eye out for that. Levels that I have marked out here. This is the internal buy side liquidity, as well as the sell side imbalance, buy side inefficiency that we have towards our premium end of the range. So yeah, keeping it short and simple for the yield chart. We've also been kind of trapped in a little bit of a consolidation, but this price action on this chart looks fairly bullish to me. I do expect us to at least sweep the internal sell side liquidity, internal buy side, sorry. Right, moving on to the Nasdaq. The levels that we highlighted last week, which was the Q4 internal low that I had marked out, had been reached on Friday, right? We reached the level on Friday. That was really the most that I was actually expecting for Nasdaq to really trade to. It's kind of crazy that we dropped about 1,000 points between Thursday and Friday. It's a bit of a hectic one, but yeah, 1,000 points down, swept the sell side liquidity below this low. My next expectation is to see us draw back into this range, but we'll only really know by Monday. We've been provided with a new week opening gap. Just mark this level out. Bullish new week opening gap we've been provided with. It's very likely that they'll want to seek some sort of internal buy side liquidity before continuation down, or price in some sort of fair value or premium before we head down, right? I don't have specific levels that I'm going to be paying attention to. I want to take it slowly and see what we actually price in going into the week. We do have daily levels. Let me just get these. We do have those daily levels. In all honesty, if they want to take us lower, just let me get rid of that. If they do want to take us lower, I'd like to see them not necessarily take the high of last week. So last week's high should kind of be protected. I don't really want to see them sweep that level. Yeah, there's no reason for them to go back up there and take any sort of liquidity if they are intending on taking us low. That all depends on how today and tomorrow plays out. Key levels that I'm paying attention to, we've had these levels here that I've been trading into. I'm going to remove them actually because we have traded through those. What I'd want to watch for is the 50% on this down close candle, right? The mean threshold on that. I want to see if we, let's just mark it out with this. I want to see if we have the willingness to really respect this level. Willingness to respect, not willingness to really trade to it. The willingness to respect this level. And I'd like to see if we can form some sort of a continuation towards the downside and perhaps target some of the sell side liquidity that we have resting inside of our Q3 range. As we end off the year, I do think that large institutions, large funds, especially large players within the market, would be taking profit on their positions for this year as we get into December. And that, in my own opinion, that does warrant a bit of a retracement or a short sell on the indexes going forward. But yeah, that is about it for your weekly outlook for this week. We don't have any definite levels per se, but I am still short-term bearish on the Nasdaq, barring of course a short-term retracement towards the upside. Good to see that our levels have been met from our previous video. I will see you guys in the next one.